All right, here we go. How excise taxes affect consumer and producer surplus. Looks complicated, right? It's not. You're all going to do fantastic. You're all a bunch of geniuses. You know what you're doing. All right, check it out. So here we are at regular equilibrium. Everything's groovy. No government intervention yet, right? So our equilibrium is at P2 and Q2. Consumers are buying what they want. Sellers are selling what they want. It's a happy equilibrium. So what's going on? What's the consumer surplus before the tax? Well, all of these demanders, they're willing and able to buy for a higher price than P2, but they get it at P2. So they're willing to pay more, but they get it for cheaper. They're stoned. Here is the area of the consumer surplus. That's their bonus, right? Now, producers, on the other hand, they were willing to sell it, at least these guys were. They were all willing and able to sell theirs at a cheaper price, but they're going to get to sell it at P2, which is higher than what they were willing to sell it at. So they're all going to get a surplus too. That's their bonus. All right, here is the value of the producer surplus. So consumer surplus is A, B, C, and D, and producer surplus is H, F, E, and G. And that is all before the tax. All right, consumer and producer surplus is maximized. All right, so we already did 1 and 2. Now we're going to go check out question number 3. What's the consumer surplus after the tax? Well, we know a tax is going to shift the supply curve up and to the left. Here's our new equilibrium, P3, Q1. All right, well, the prices are higher. We know that consumers don't like higher prices, so what happens here? Well, here's the new equilibrium. That means less buyers get that bonus. Now there's only this many people who are willing and able to pay more, but get it for cheaper, so surplus to the consumers is reduced. Consumer surplus is now A. All right, well, producer surplus, price is going up, so producers are going to get more bonus, right? Wrong, because the government is going to get some money now too. So we go from P3, trace it down to the supply curve for the producer here. Remember, the producer doesn't get all of P3 because some of it goes to the government. The producer is going to get the value of P3 minus the tax, so they get P1. All right, you trace down the new equilibrium to the old supply curve, and this is the seller price at P1. P1 is what the sellers are going to get. P3 is what the buyers pay, but the producers only get P1 because some of the money's going to the government. All right, so what is the producer surplus? It's G. All right, this is what they get. Only this many producers were willing and able to sell it at a lower price and got to sell it for a higher price. So producer surplus goes down too. All right, now let's look at question number 5, tax revenue for the government. Well, what's the value of the tax? The value of the tax is the distance between the two curves. So that's this area, P3 and P1. All right, P3 is what consumers are paying. P1 is what producers are getting. So this is the value of the tax. All right, if this is the value of the tax, you multiply it by Q1. HBFC is your tax revenue. All right, that used to be part of the surplus that went to consumers and producers, but now it's going to the government, right? All right, next question. What is the deadweight loss? The deadweight loss, is DE. That used to be consumer and producer surplus, but now it's not going to anybody because we used to sell and buy Q2, but now we're only buying and selling Q1. So that surplus goes poof. All right, it's out of here. Now, next question. Amount of revenue producers pay. Amount of tax revenue producers pay. What we're really looking for here then is the tax incidence. Check out how you find the tax incidence for producers. All right, here's what they were getting, P2. Now producers are only receiving P1. Even though buyers are paying P3, producers only get P1. All right, so P2 is what they used to get. P1 is what they're getting now. This is the amount of the tax that the producers are paying. If this is the amount of tax that the producers are paying, P2 minus P1, multiplied by Q1, this is the amount of the total government revenue that is paid for by the producers. The other amount is passed on to the consumer. All right, so here is our producer incidence, if you will, H and F, P2, P1. All right, check out my second video. We'll take this a little bit further.